Now, Hopewell Chin'ono is an award-winning reporter who's been in and out of jail and says he's being targeted by Zimbabwean authorities for his work. We've had him as a guest quite regularly on the show. Well, the investigative journalist has temporarily swapped his camera and mic used for documenting stories to taking up music to tell stories. Chin'ono, who was recently granted bail by the Zimbabwe High Court, has become a music sensation after releasing a song about corruption on the African continent. He joins us on the line to talk about the challenges. Hopewell, thank you for being with us. Just tell us a bit about the words. Why this song?
Thank you very much, Francis, for having me on your program. I did this song last week, Sunday, sitting exactly where I'm sitting today, and it was a reflection about the corruption and the looting of public funds and the plunder of natural resources in Zimbabwe and, of course, across the continent, because this is a pandemic on the continent. I decided to use those words because they are colloquial and they are found in reggae music, and reggae music is popular not only in Zimbabwe but across the continent as well. So I thought this kind of music would be something that the youth would be interested in listening to, but whilst they're listening, they can then interact with the issues that are being raised, and that's exactly what happened. It went viral, not just in Zimbabwe, but across the continent and beyond, and the issues of corruption, the looting of public funds in Zimbabwe, the failure by the Zimbabwean government to provide the basic things in hospitals. Like today, I've just been told by doctors that the biggest hospital in Zimbabwe, Harare Hospital, now called Salem Gabe Hospital, doesn't even have an incinerator. It has only 2 maternity theaters which were built in 1977, and both of them are not working. So all these issues, they affect mostly the youth because they are the ones who do not have jobs, they don't have access to health care. So that is the reason why I did the song and did it in that way.
Well, let's see if we can listen in to a little bit of that song by Hopewell Chin'ono.
Lord have mercy, mercy, mercy. Daddy hoping at your party, party, party. Lord of them loot. Them loot, them loot, them loot. Hospitals, no medication, them loot. Them loot, them loot, them loot. Ghetto youths, no jobs, you know, them loot. Them loot, them loot, them loot. No water to drink in townships, them loot. Them loot, them loot, them loot. Lord have mercy. Me sit up on top of the rhythm, sit up on top of the version. Crowd of people come out of them, so that me a champion. When me come in, I did that, me capture girls' attention. When it come to me lyrics, no competition. Them loot, them loot, them loot, them loot. They have no sense of purpose, them loot. Them loot, them loot, them loot. The elderly dying without me.
All right, and it's a well-known beat. How's this been received in Zimbabwe? You said it went viral. Is it being played, though, on radio stations, on television? How is it being put out there, basically?
Not even a single radio station played it, not even the only TV station. They never even talked about it. And it speaks into the issues of freedom of the press, which does not exist in Zimbabwe. All the TVs, all the radio stations are either directly owned by the state or by cronies and surrogates of the state. There's only one TV station in Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation TV. Zimbabwe was one of the first 2 countries to have television on the sub-Saharan continent, together with Nigeria. Today, it is the only country in Africa outside a war zone, which doesn't have TV. So that is why I get persecuted all the time, because I'm using social media, which the majority of our people, especially in the cities, can access. Zimbabweans who are abroad, they can access. People in other countries can get to know what's going on in Zimbabwe. And I'm being persecuted for that because the Zimbabwean state is still backward in terms of how information is run nowadays. They still think they can use the 1980s template, where they can control the newspapers by being the sole owners of newspapers in the country, where they can control what is broadcast by being the sole owners of the broadcasting station. But the state paper, which is the Herald newspaper, is now selling less than 5,000 copies. That is how unpopular state media has become.
Sure. And you spoke about the situation, the health situation, suggesting that people are dying basically because of looting by leaders. We know that we've seen PPE corruption here in South Africa. But is this a South Africa, Zimbabwean problem, or is this continental? Is this an African problem, Hopewell?
I think corruption happens everywhere, but I think it is the levels and degrees. In Zimbabwe, it has become so absurd because in the past 30 days, 6 doctors died from COVID-19. They are not getting sufficient PPEs. Nurses are dying. They're not getting sufficient PPEs. At one hospital in the western town of Chin'ono, 66 health workers tested positive to COVID at one hospital. Now, this speaks into the failure by the Zimbabwean state to supply PPEs, to discharge its duties. It has a mandate to protect our health workers, but these health workers are dying. Some are wearing blankets in order to protect themselves from COVID infections, and that is unacceptable.
So the song says that looting is going on, but what's the end goal here? How could that lead to action against corruption?
I guess we have to start with conscientizing the citizens about their circumstances. The average citizen didn't even know the cost of running Zimbabwe's central hospitals. It only costs $50 million to run all of Zimbabwe's central hospitals. Yet, $100 million worth of gold is smuggled every month by the political elites in government and their surrogates, which means the budget for all our central hospitals for 2 years is being looted in 1 month. The citizen did not understand this. So this is about giving context to the citizens so that they understand that the money is there, the resources are there, but they are being misused. They are being looted. You find that if you go, the health services body that runs Zimbabwe's hospitals, they drive $200,000 cars. That's $2.5 million with 2.5 million rand cars. And yet nurses don't even have paracetamol to give elderly in village clinics when they come with headaches. More so when they have serious issues, they are not able to attend to them. There's one guy who died in Mtoko on the eastern side of Zimbabwe. The guy, his back was rotting. He was involved in a car accident. The doctors could not give him anything because they didn't have anything. They can only give what they are given by the state. So that is how bad things are. And that is why people like myself are now on collision course with the state, because we are mentioning these self-evident things to say, this is about a national tragedy. Stop looting public funds. People are dying. It's unacceptable. 95% of our potential workforce in Zimbabwe does not have a job. They're seated at home. And yet Zimbabwe is a wealthy and rich country. That is why I'm having to do some of the things that I'm now doing, resorting to even conscientizing people through song.
Yeah, and music can be powerful to conscientize. What about the other artists, the singers in Zimbabwe? Can you give us some insight into the cultural scene? Here in South Africa, we've been looking at the legacy, Hugh Masekela, Jonas Gwangwa, who passed away recently, Miriam Makeba, Letta Mbula, the song Not Yet Uhuru. And it was so important. It was never art for art's sake during apartheid. What is the situation in Zimbabwe right now?
It's tragic because the generation that was conscientized politically, that was able to articulate the social issues, most of them are dying. The Oliver Mtukudzes and Thomas Mapfumo, he's now in the United States of America. And the young generation of musicians are pathetic because they are captured by the state, and some of them actually end up singing praise songs for the state, or they allow their music to be captured by the ruling elites in ZANU-PF, and their music is now used for party political affairs, which is bad. They are afraid to sing about the real issues that are affecting the ordinary men and women in the streets of Zimbabwe, because some of them are in the pockets of these politicians. So in terms of the Miriam Makebas, perhaps right now the only one that gets close to be associated with that kind of generation is a young man called Wingy D. There's another one called Lazy T. He's got a new song that came out talking about corruption as well. But the general music scene, they are afraid. That's why even the DJs on radio stations are terrified of playing this music. Someone called the radio station, one of the supposedly independent radio station, which is owned by a member of parliament belonging to ZANU-PF. And they jokingly said, "Can you play us Dem Loot?" And the DJ just kept quiet. Someone called another station called the Star FM, owned by this state media company, and they said, "Oh, happy birthday to Nelson Chamisa." And the DJ just cut them off. So there's that kind of political intolerance where people are so terrified and the fear of God is instilled in them, such that people are not able to express themselves the same way they would have expressed themselves if they were in South Africa. Certainly, you will not find a Hugh Masekela today in Zimbabwe. Our equivalent of the Hugh Masekelas is Thomas Mafumo, who now lives in the United States of America.
All right, thank you very much. Hopewell Chin'ono, turning to music, Dem Loot, his song that has gone viral on social media, but like he says, not being played at all in terms of mainstream media in Zimbabwe. Now, the city of Cape Town has expressed concern over the behaviour of protesters who defied the law yesterday and refused to wear masks. This follows a protest